Folks, there was a very important article written in the Wall Street Journals yesterday that I'm going to do my best to summarize. But I think it really highlights that FHA, I don't know, unbeknownst to much of the world, might be hiding a lot of housing pain. Before we get into the details, again, highlighted by the Wall Street Journal, I think we owe it to the folks like Melody Wright. Melody Wright has been on the channel several times. And I believe Melody Wright has kind of been pointing at this pretty hard for quite a while. Now, I don't recall her having all of these delicate details that really highlight the potential catastrophe inside these numbers, but she was certainly circling around what we are about to talk about. So again, this article is rather long. It has lots of numbers. I'm going to do my best to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Of course, we'll cover other economic news, but I think we've got to start with FHA. So let's get into it. So as everybody remembers, during the pandemic, Biden and team created some mortgage relief acts. Remember the forbearance. Remember, we talked about 40-year mortgages. We talked about silent seconds. We basically wanted to help homeowners that were in trouble and make sure they didn't lose their home because of the pandemic. So here are some of the numbers now that we are years past it. And it seems to still be getting worse, which is rather concerning. So let's get into some of the numbers. Just for clarity, in 2007, which they articulate is right at the peak of the last cycle, 35% of FHA borrowers had a debt to income, aka DTI, greater than 43%. It has often been thought that anything north of 43% is crazy risky. So at the time, at the peak of what was now later called the GFC, 35%, or you could think 1 in 3 FHA borrowers had that. In 2020, that got all the way up to 54%, and the latest reading in 2024 pegs it at 64%. So the first part of this article is to let you know that FHA is basically repeating some of the same stupidity as the last cycle. Basically, as affordability went down, they expanded the pool by increasing the DTI that was accepted, right? Because if you were dealing with a pool that was constrained at 43%, you would do a lot less loans. So again, one of the ways out of this is just, I don't know, ignore, pretend it doesn't exist, change. So in 2024, 64% of loans, almost double where we were in 2007. It was estimated in this article, again, go to Wall Street Journal, that 79% of FHA borrowers have less than 1 month of financial reserve. Again, if your mortgage payment is greater than 43% of DTI, you don't have a lot of reserves. You don't have a lot of wiggle room. There's not a lot of emergency out there. And as we sit, the last reporting, FHA mortgages that are seriously delinquent, if you don't know, is 90 days or greater, three missed mortgage payments, now sits at 7.08%. Why is that important? The peak in the last crisis was 7.05%. So again, we are worse than the GFC. Now is where the sausage get made. Now is where we start to hide pain. Now is where we start to put some skeletons in the closet that we're not sure when it's going to come out. So one of the things that we did during the pandemic, again, the government, basically incentivized, aka paid, mortgage servicers to work out solutions with FHA borrowers. Now, what did they do? They basically made up for the payment the missed payments and rewarded the servicers who lowered the payment 25%. So Wall Street Journal goes through several examples. Basically, what you could think about is if the borrower is late 3 months, they lower their payment. All of that proceeds goes on the back of the loan in a zero interest rate loan. But folks, the servicer gets paid today. The servicer gets paid today. And this is where things get dicey. This is where you start to get unintended consequences. This is where servicers have profit streams that likely weren't the intent of the program. How bad was this? Well, it is estimated that there were 52,531 seriously delinquent loans. Only nine single digits ended in foreclosure. That means, let's see if I can do this math really quick, 52,522 had some kind of workout. And again, the servicer got paid. The servicer made a profit. So again, looks like FHA collectively made 556,841 incentive payments profit to prevent foreclosures. It should also be noted that many FHA buyers, I didn't see a number in the article, but certainly more than zero, FHA borrowers went seriously delinquent more than once. And again, they ran this game and the servicer got paid. So what happened, again, what the unintended consequences were is the servicers found an opportunity to turn a profit from FHA. FHA is now sitting with zero interest loans on the back of mortgages. We now have FHA borrowers who are underwater. Because again, you got to remember, lots of FHA buyers come in with 3.5% down, 5% down. And if you're sticking an extra $40,000 on the back of the loan, you are underwater. So now they are over leveraged. So again, we don't know what pricks this, but I've got to tell you, we have to stop. We have to stop today doing loans with DTI over 43%. If that's the rule of the mortgage industry, what are we doing? Why are we going back to bad underwriting? It is bad underwriting to, have 64% of loans exceed that. That's terrible. That's bad underwriting. Bad underwriting gets people in homes, yes, but it also sets them up for foreclosure. This is a very simple game. So again, I think a lot of us, we owe Melody Wright and her reporting on FHA. She's reporting on delinquencies. She's highlighted on this channel. Again, I want to thank the Wall Street Journal for really getting into the kind of numbers because there's the unintended consequences were a profit motivator for servicers. And this is going to get interesting. But you've got to stop doing this. So what would happen? Again, folks, we've reported for the last 6 to 9 months, National Association of Realtor, that first-time home buyers are at record lows. I think the last report had it at 24%. Historically, first-time home buyers make up 38 to 40%. But again, it should be lower. It just mathematically should be lower. If 24% of all purchases are FHA, first-time home buyer, but 64% of those borrowers have a DTI north of 43%, those are just simply bad loans. Those are bad loans. Now, some of them will be just fine. Some of them, they will work it out. They will get promotions, all of that. But many of those will go bust. So again, folks, any crisis of this it's always the lending. It's always the mass lending that causes a problem. So again, I thought this Wall Street Journal article is interesting. You can actually just Google it. It's not behind a paywall. I again found it this morning, and I do not have a Wall Street Journal membership, so it is out there for you to consume. So pretty interesting that there were 556,841 incentive payments. Got it. Makes you go, So interesting. Let's talk about good old Fed President Goolsbee. He's comfortable where the Fed is on track to 2% inflation. Boy, you guys are really banking on PCE on Friday. They are really hoping that comes in good. They're downplaying the increase in consumer inflation expectation. Again, that number came out last Friday. Really surprised the market. Again, it was the 5-year expectations are the highest, I think, since 1997. Pretty crazy. And again, the Fed should be cautious amid government policy changes. Again, I think the Fed is sitting on their hands, waiting to see what is real, what is not real. Away we go from here. Lance Lambert from Resi Club. Again, go to ResiClubAnalytics.com. He had a question. He posed a question on X or Twitter. Given that 73.3% of U.S. mortgages are below 5%, he asked, and I'll ask you if you want to put some comments there. What interest rate would you consider selling your home and trading up? Again, I've been telling you for years that the move-up buyer is dead. The move-up buyer is out of the market. They are simply not playing. They are not listing and thus not buying, causing 2 transactions to disappear. But at what rate would you sell your home and upgrade? Inquiring minds want to know, and I'll make sure Lance sees this, so we'll see what's going on. Folks, there is some exciting stuff going on in real estate. New wealth-generating opportunities, again, in a market like today with high rates and high prices. We've talked about ADUs. We have plenty of folks doing rent by room. And yesterday, I was lucky enough to talk with Aaron and others about a residential assisted living. Again, this is an area I have zero experience in and lots of questions. But if you wanted to see an initial walkthrough of residential assisted living, we're talking elder care, memory care, sober living. Again, it was very interesting. Apparently, each and every state has rules and regulation from memory. Apparently, Texas, you can go to 16. Arizona, you can go to 10. Don't quote me on those numbers. Do your own research. But yeah, that was a very interesting conversation, how you can turn a home into a residential assisted living care facility. Looks like Microsoft might be blamed for Friday's AI washout. It has been reported that Microsoft is cutting AI data center spending. It has not been confirmed or validated by Microsoft, but there was an analyst out there saying that might be coming. Apple is in the news for a large U.S. investment. Apparently, over the next 4 years, Apple will be investing $500 billion, $500 billion in the U.S. and hiring 20,000 employees. It looks like this AI server factory will be in and around Houston, Texas. Starbucks is in the news for some layoffs. Looks like Starbucks is laying off 1,100 corporate workers after their 4th straight quarter of declines. None of these layoffs will impact their cafes. It will all be corporate. Good old Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, is out there, just bought another $2 billion in Bitcoin. Apparently, $2 billion buys you 20,356 Bitcoin. I think he's sitting on almost 500,000 or something. It's wild to think about. One guy, one company owns that much. We did get our first read on consumers this week. This is all about the consumer. Domino's Pizza missed top line, which means they did not sell as many pizzas. Missed bottom line, which means they didn't make as much money. But they did raise dividends that they're paying quarterly. Apparently, margins have been squeezed by higher labor costs. Yes, folks, wages, labor costs are going up. Started to dig into what's going on in Washington, D.C. This is it's interesting to me what is going on there, obviously in and around housing. I think it's going to be like San Diego and Texas when the oil crash happened. I was digging around for the largest corporate layoffs in history, and near as I can tell, IBM, Big Blue, came in with the largest corporate layoff in history. Apparently in 1993, IBM let go of 60,000 people. 60,000 people. It is estimated that the federal workforce will see a trimming of 300,000. Now, those are actual employees, not contractors. It is estimated that contractors will be significantly more than that. But yes, it is estimated that federal employees may go down as the largest corporate layoff in history at 300,000. Now, what do corporate layoffs mean? Large layoffs like what's going on in Washington, D.C. mean that all federal employees pull back. And again, remember from a previous daily financial news, federal employees make up roughly 2% of all workforce. So you're going to have 2% of the workforce pull back. They are going to spend less. Discretionary income or discretionary expenses, will fall. They're just nervous. They have no interest in doing anything risky. They will save their pennies. They will not buy cars. They will not buy houses. They will not take vacations. You are going to see a consumer psychology change. Now, again, historically, consumers can change their mindsets for about 6 months. That has been the historical trend I have noticed. So if you take this from, let's call it March, that means all the way till September. And again, if you have a local area that is heavily focused on federal employees, that will cause a local recession. Coffee shops, pizza, all of this. You will see local recessions. Now, it will not be large enough singly to create a countrywide recession, but you can have a local recession for sure. I do want to thank Jesus. Jesus was the latest member to join school. Again, folks, if you have any interest in building wealth, real estate, investing, we supply what I believe is the #1 school community on the planet. We have 372 amazing go-givers. Get in the community. It's 67 pennies a day. Get all the free education, the bonuses. Join one of the six accountability group and masterminds. Just to give you a taste of what happened on Sunday. Sunday's accountability group had 15 people in it. 15 people in it. You talked evictions, collections, demand letters, sub 2, ORAD event. Talked about the presentation from the Frugal Gay, Convoy Home Loans, 5.8% DSCR loan, and more. Folks, stop messing around. If you are interested in getting wealthy, if you are interested in being around the right people, we are here for you. Go to school.com, look for One Rental at a Time, join today. If you don't like it, cancel. It costs you $20. What the heck? All right, folks, I hope you have an amazing day. Like, subscribe, comment, and I want to give a shout out one more time to Melody Wright. Thank her for being on the channel all this time. Thank her for getting into the loan portfolios, again, an area of expertise I simply do not have. Also, shout out the Wall Street Journal article and writer for really crystallizing what may be some unintended consequences. And it's going to be interesting to see how all this washes out. Folks, have an amazing day. Take care of yourself. Peace.